to the City of Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment meeting for January 20th, 2022, which is now called to order. The agenda, documents, and minutes for the meeting today are located at okc.primeweb.com/public/portal. We'll begin with the applicant speaking, and then we'll recognize any supporters and then any protests, and then we'll close with the applicant speaking. If you are not the applicant and you'd like to speak on a matter, hopefully you filled out one of the white forms that's available outside and delivered that to city staff, and then we'll know when to call on you at the appropriate time. Before you start speaking, please introduce yourself by name and address. Limit your comments to 5 minutes. Board members will be able to ask questions or make comments at any time, but please don't interrupt board members because we need a clear record and it helps the meetings go by much faster. If you're part of a group or if you have same or similar comments, it's helpful to designate one speaker to speak on behalf of the group, and then we'll recognize anyone who has any additional comments that are unique that haven't already been represented. Masks are highly recommended. We're sort of at hopefully the peak of this new surge, so masks are highly recommended in this meeting today. The first item on the agenda is to receive the minutes from the January 6th, 2022 meeting. Do you have any changes or a motion?
I'll move approval.
I second.
Motion and a second to receive the January 6th, 2022 meetings. Once you're able to, cast your votes. And the minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda, continuance requests or withdrawals. We have one withdrawal.
I have one, item 18, case 14-962 and 63 have been withdrawn.
Okay, we don't need a motion on those, and I'm not aware of any continuance requests, so I think that satisfies that part of the agenda. We'll move to public hearings. The next item is consent docket. Seeing nothing on the consent docket, we'll move to items requiring a separate vote.
First item for public hearing is item 1, case 14-964. That's a request of Ideal Homes for a setback variance at 420 Kearney Lane.
Yeah.
A new foundation contractor that either misread the plans or just made an error, so we're...
Sir, I'll have to start out by interrupting you. I apologize, but the municipal counselor is going to hit me in a second. We need you to start with your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Kent Moore.
Okay.
Of El Reno, Oklahoma.
Okay. And then you're the applicant?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe Dree Stanbeck has signed it, but I'm who applied for everything.
Okay.
So
Sorry to interrupt, and you can continue.
No, I'm sorry. Yes, basically, we had a new foundation contractor that either misread the plans or just made a mistake, and so we got about 10 inches over our 5-foot building line on the side. Just going to ask for a variance on that, please.
All right. This would seem pretty straightforward to me. Board members, any questions or comments? Okay. And the specific request, we like to put a specific number in it, so the specific request is 10 inches. Okay. Well, is there anyone that was hoping to speak on this application other than the applicant? Seeing none, I think we could take a motion.
Move approval. Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve the variance request in case 14964 for the reason that it meets the statutory conditions for a variance. Once you're able to, cast your votes. And it's approved.
Thank you very much.
Okay, item 2, case 14-974, request of Chad Taylor for a variance of the setback regulations in the R4 district at 9600 London Way.
Afternoon. Yes, I'm Chad Taylor with the Riggs Avenue Law Firm. Our client, Tuscany Village, has asked for a variance. There are 3 setback encroachment issues. They have existed since 1970. They're wholly contained on the property, but these were identified through a recent survey, and as part of some closing requirements, our client sought for and is asking for a variance for these specific issues. They are wholly contained on the property.
Now, this one, initially, looking at the beginning of the application, seemed a little unusual to have such a big property come for variances like this. Normally, maybe it'd be a PUD or something, but anyway, it made sense to me, and then the highlighted sections clarified a lot of the questions I had, so. Board members, any questions or comments? Okay. Is anyone, other than the applicant, hoping to speak on this application? Okay, seeing none. Board members, I think we can take a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept case number 14974 for a variance because it meets the regulations.
That's for all three of the variances?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve the variance, all the variance requests in case 14974, for the reason that they meet the statutory conditions for a variance. For variances, once you're able to, cast your votes. And it's approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Item 3 is case number 14975. It's a request for a renewal of a special exception of J. and Tanya Lawson to allow a mobile home to serve as a temporary dwelling to relieve a medical hardship at 8000 North Richland Road.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I'm Tanya Lawson, and I'm just asking that we renew my application, allowing my father to stay in a mobile home on our property.
Okay. Did you have a period of time in mind? The maximum is 3 years.
I'm sorry, say that again,
Did
please?
you have a period of time in mind? The maximum is 3 years.
This is for 3 years,
Okay.
yes. My dad will be turning 83 this year,
Okay.
and so we're just going to do this as long as he's able to take care of himself next door to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me, and apparently you've done it at least one other time, and we don't have any protests or anything, so it's gone successful so far, it seems.
Yes, yes, I feel very blessed to be able to have him close and take care of him when
Absolutely.
needed, so, yeah.
Absolutely. Board members, any questions or comments?
I'd like to move that we approve case number 14975 for a special exception for a period of 3 years.
Okay, and before we get a second, I'm just, so that we, for the purposes of the record, want to make sure there's no one that was hoping to be heard on this application other than the applicant. Okay, I think we could take a second. Okay, and this is for a period of 3 years, I think I heard?
Yes, sir.
Got a motion and a second to approve the special exception in case 14975 for the reason it meets the statutory conditions for a special exception for a period of 3 years. Once you're able to, cast your votes. And it's approved.
All right, thank you all very much.
Item 4 is case 14976, request of downtown OKC for a variance to the sign regulations at 3 locations. That's 101 Mickey Mantle, 101 East California, and 123 South Oklahoma.
My name is Justin O'Neill. I'm the Bricktown District Manager for the Downtown Oklahoma City Partnership. On behalf of the Bricktown Association, what we're looking at doing is installing wayfinding signage for the canal. This is to promote safe navigation throughout the district and then just promote the city's asset overall. So I also have the architect on the project as well as a representative from the board if you'll have any questions for them.
This went through Bricktown Committee, and they recommended approval, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Members, do you have any questions or comments?
Do we know what their conditions were? I see there's a condition circled, I was just curious.
My understanding was, and city staff can correct me, but it was, they approved the proposal on the condition that it got a variance from us.
Gotcha.
And not necessarily that we need to impose any conditions.
All right.
And I haven't been corrected, so I think that's.
That's right.
So, I also didn't see anything I would want to add to this. It makes sense to me, especially if you're not from the city. It's sometimes hard to find the canal, figure out where you're going, so, made sense to me. Was there anyone else that was hoping to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I think we can take a motion.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the variance request in case 14976 for the reason that they meet the statutory conditions for variances. Once you're able to, cast your vote. And it's approved.
Item 5, case 14977, request of Larry Crowder for a variance to the accessory building regulations in the R1 district at 9616 Morgan Crossing Drive.
I'm not Larry, I am Susan Crowder and Larry Crowder. And we need to raise the walls on a garage we're having built to 14 feet. We have a fifth wheel that's stored out in the elements right now, and we'd like to be able to put it in.
Okay. I think your application talks about how it's, I guess it's kind of below grade a little bit, so it doesn't seem like
Yeah,
it's 14 feet.
our lot goes down, so the garage will be down,
Okay,
not up higher. It'll be lower than the house.
okay. I think that's helpful for the application, and also, just for the purposes of the record, you do have to establish a few things that the state statutes require us to find, including a hardship and something's peculiar about this piece of property. I think you can meet those here, but just for the purposes of the record, wanting to store a fifth wheel is not always a hardship or
Right.
Peculiar or something like this. But I think for all the reasons in your application and that it's only 2 feet, it's pretty minimal. Some of the applications we get are for, a variance of 10 or 12 feet. This is pretty minimal.
Yeah, we have there's a 16-foot one on our street that's on the other side, so yeah.
Okay. well,
Ours will be pretty unobtrusive.
Yeah. So it seemed minimal. I think you can meet the standards. Board members, any questions or comments? Is anyone else hoping to speak on this application? I think we can take a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the variance request in case 14977 for the reason it meets the statutory condition for a variance. Cast your votes, please. And it's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6, case 14978 is an application for renewal of a special exception of Brian Pearson to allow a mobile home to serve as a temporary second dwelling at 12417 Southeast 89th Street.
Correct.
Well, sir, so if you just wanted to introduce yourself by name and address and then just give us a brief summary of your application.
I'm sorry?
If you want to just introduce yourself by name and address and then give us a brief just overview of your request.
Brian Pearson, 12425 Southeast 89th Street.
Okay. And it looks like this is a renewal.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so it's already been approved before. I didn't see any protests or anything in here. And in order to get even before the board, you need to submit the right paperwork to the city staff, and it looks like you've done that. So I don't have any questions other than the amount of time you were hoping to get. It's, as we mentioned with the last application, it's up to 3 years.
Well, I would like to have the 3 years because last year I lost my father. This is my mother,
Okay.
and, she's in bad health. We got all kinds of, from doctors and all that. And I just need her close because I've got, my fiance lives in one, me and my fiance lives in one, she lives in her own. but my fiance goes over and checks on her all the time because of her ailing health and all that, so.
Okay. Okay.
I just like try, it's, you know, 2-minute walk over to her house. You know, just trying to keep her with me as long as I can.
Yeah, I understand, and sorry to hear about that, your father. I don't see anything that prevents a 3-year special exception here. Board members, questions, comments, or a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve case number 14978 for renewal of special exception for a period of 3 years.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second to approve the special exception in case 14978. It meets the statutory conditions for a special exception for a period of 3 years. Cast your votes, please. It's approved, and hopefully we'll see you again in 3 years.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, council.
Item 7 is case 14985. It's a request of Evans Fine Homes for a variance to the setback regulations at 1500 Northeast 18th Street.
Hello, I'm Aaron Evans with Evans Fine Homes. Do you need my address, you said? 8604 South Indiana.
Okay. And if you just wanted to give us an overview of the requests.
Yes, I bought this lot from the Urban Renewal Authority and designed the house to build on it according to the design guidelines that they've set. And normally in a corner lot in Oklahoma City, you have to have a 15-foot side setback on a corner lot. And when I designed this house, we designed it with an 11-foot setback because we wanted to follow the Okura guidelines of making it like in line or line up with other houses in the area. That's part of their guidelines, is that to follow what's typically been done on that street or in that area. So most of we found that vary between side setbacks of 3 to 10 feet. And I'm requesting for an 11-foot setback.
And is this, the square footage, the same as or consistent with the other homes on the block?
Pretty close, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I ask, as you may have deduced, one thing we look for is just, are you trying to get a variance to add square footage to the house? And
No.
It seems like you're trying to do it to keep it in line with the.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow their guidelines on what they put in their document. It's about an 85-page document, how they want the houses designed and the codes to follow and stuff like that in them, which varies from the cities a little bit, so.
Okay. It's good to see you here before you build the house instead of after. We see that sometimes, so.
I know, I wouldn't do that.
Board members, any questions or comments?
No, it looks like Okura's on board, so good.
Yeah, no. Have anyone else signed up? Is there anyone that was hoping to speak on this application?
Yeah, Owen's here from Okura.
Okay.
Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, so Aaron with Evans Fine Homes has submitted a proposal to build 3 houses on vacant infill lots in northeast Oklahoma City. This is the 3rd, and so to match the setback, existing setback throughout the neighborhood, they're a little bit different than I guess what the requirements are now. So in order for this house to fit within, our design standards is to meet the existing setbacks within the neighborhood, and I guess we're definitely in support with Aaron's effort to I guess hopefully get a variance from y'all today.
Okay. Oh, can we get your, sorry, sir, your name and address, just since you gave some comments on the record?
Olin Cook, 804 Northeast 17th Street.
Okay, thank you.
And he's with Okura.
Okay, yeah. Well, there's a little spear from the municipal counselor to me. If I ever mess up, I just get a jab in the leg, so. Board members, any questions or comments? or a motion?
I'll move approval.
Oh, yeah. I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the variance request in case 14985 for the reason it meets the statutory conditions for variance. Cast your votes, please. And it's approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 8, 14970, special exception of Evangeline Bonzi to allow home sharing at 4708 Southeast 45th Street.
Good afternoon. My name is Evangeline Bonzi, and the case number is 14970.
Okay. Can you just give us a quick overview of your application? How many rooms, what you expect to do with it?
Okay, 4708 Southeast 45th Street was one of my first projects to flip houses. And after I finished flipping it, it was difficult to sell. And my next option was to rent it out. So I became friends with the neighbors, and they asked me what I was going to do with it once I was done. I told them, put it on Section 8 and get a renter in there, whereby I'll get my consistent rent money. And they begged me not to bring Section 8 over there because they've had a prior experience that wasn't too pleasant. So, and I'm like, I don't like court cases. I don't want to go to court. If I put any other renter there that they don't respect and make monthly payment like they should, I will have an issue. That's why I like the Section 8. I have one already in Norman, and it works perfect for me. So then I came across B&B formula on Facebook that they said they would train you to rent out houses short term. And I looked into it and took advantage of it. I consulted them, and they were happy with that. So that's how I decided to do a short-term rental. That was my very first one.
Okay. This is 4 bedrooms, 2-car garage. Will the renters have access to the garage?
Yes.
Okay. And how many people were you hoping to rent, to advertise this? With
8.
4 bedrooms, 8 people total?
8.
8 people, okay. And, yeah, it's the same application. Did you get a chance to read the protest letter?
Yes.
Okay, did you want to comment on that at all or address those comments?
I don't know the people that did the protest, and I don't know how close they are to the subject property, but so far the people that live immediate have not had any complaints. And I communicate with them each time I go over there for cleaning. I make sure I say hi and ask them if there is any issues. And so far, it's been good.
Okay.
They all have my phone numbers to let me know ASAP if there is an issue ever arises.
Okay. Well, I guess there were 2 protest letters. So the comments that relate to home sharing, it looks like the concerns are disruption of the peace and tranquility of the neighborhood and increased noise, traffic, and trash. So those are the concerns that they're worried about. There's some other comments that seem more related to renters and not short-term renters, so I don't think we need to address those, but just so you know, those were some of the comments in opposition to the application. I don't have anyone else signed up to speak. Is there anyone here that was hoping to speak on this application? It's not the applicant. Okay. Board members, any questions or comments of the applicant?
Do we know what the comment about the pool house being rented out, is that this house, next house, or?
I thought that was a different house.
Okay, different house. All right.
So one quick question, how close is your house located to the cul-de-sac that they're talking about?
How close is?
They're on it.
She's definitely on it?
Yeah.
Because that's where the complaint is too.
Okay, yeah. But somewhat similar question. How close do you live? Are you going to be managing the property?
Yes,
Okay, how far away do you live?
I live in Norman,
Okay,
but I will jump in my vehicle and come if anything. So, and the neighbors, like sometime last week, they tested me that there was water running from the house. So I called the guest that was there, and somebody had left the tap running at the back. So the neighbors are in contact with me constantly, that if there is anything, they inform me ASAP, and I get on it.
a lot of times, and you might already be doing this, but or expect to do this, but I don't see any of the rules or conditions that you're going to place on your renters. So, what kind of rules were you going to place on these renters?
I think I use a management company to put my information out to the host rental companies, and they have rules and regulations, and I have added mine as to they're called Evolve Management, vacation rentals. And if you book through Airbnb, Airbnb has rules, and then they will send you to my management company, which is Evolve, and they also have rules.
Okay. It's helpful to know what all those rules are. It's helpful to us to know what all those are. So,
In fact, I thought I sent a copy in my application of the rules in the house.
I don't know that I received that. Did any of you receive that? Okay. So you may have, sometimes stuff falls through the cracks, but I didn't receive anything. And it's not, doesn't mean your application gets denied, but it's good for us to know kind of any kind of rules you're imposing. Something that came to mind for me was that you would advertise this as not allowing parties and quiet hours. So the tenants are expected to have quiet hours from a certain period of time. So maybe 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., something like that, are quiet hours. And that would be in the application, or that would be in the advertisement. And then also that parking is only allowed in the driveway or the garage, but not on the street.
Okay.
And so you would have to advertise those things. And if you don't advertise those things, you risk losing your special exception that we might grant you. I don't know what the board's going to do, but so that's something that came to mind for me. I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that, but. Board members, any questions or comments? Or a motion?
I assume we're looking short-term on this one for protest.
I was thinking 2-ish years.
Okay.
Yeah, personally.
I'll move approval of special exception, case number 14970, for the period of 2 years, advertising that off-street parking only and a max of 8 people. No parties, all that good stuff. Do we have any other ones?
Quiet hours.
Quiet hours, 9 to 9.
9 to 9, yeah.
I'll second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second to approve the special exception in case 14970 for the reason that it meets the statutory conditions for a special exception for a period of 2 years on the condition that the property will be advertised as not allowing parties, quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., off-street parking only, so parking in the driveway and the garage only. And were there any other ones that you mentioned, Mike?
No, I think that was it.
Period of 2 years. Okay, and once you're able to, cast your votes,
Thank you.
and it's approved. Thank you.
Okay, item 9 is case 14979. It's a special exception of Alan and Angela Smith to allow home sharing at 3301 Northwest 26th Street.
How you doing?
Good.
My name's Alan Smith. The property address is 3301 Northwest 26th Street. And we're just asking for a special exception for a home sharing license. Just, any questions you got, but it's got ample parking. We don't allow any parking on the street. We have another property on 23rd Street that we got a special exception as well on. We live at 509 Northwest 17th. We manage our own properties. Those are the only, that one, and then we're applying for this one. Those are the two we have right now. So it's like I said, plenty of parking there for everybody. We don't allow parties at all, and that's one of the requirements. Don't allow any parties at all. Do allow pets, but there's a fenced yard, so for pets to be outside in the backyard, we do allow that. So we have updated the property, so we renovated the inside of it, and I think somebody sent a letter as well that was in approval of the special exception as well. So.
Yeah, you got 1 and 1. You got 1 in support and then 1 protest.
Oh, really? I didn't see that one. Yeah.
There's one that, I'll give you an opportunity to respond, but the comment basically says that they're opposed to the home sharing request. They had a bad experience with a renter. I don't know that you need to comment on that because you're not renting to a renter. You're doing home sharing.
And that's
Right.
part of the reasons that we have found that short-term rentals, the house stays in much better condition. We're in there once a week or every 2 weeks because we go in and we have somebody clean, but we go in and kind of check it out after the cleaning, all that kind of stuff. We go over there prior to the cleaning people come, check the property and all that kind of stuff. So we've absolutely found that the care of the property is tons better if you have, actually our experience with short-term rentals for sure.
I don't have anyone signed up to speak, but is there anyone that wanted to speak on this application other than the applicant? Okay. And that, the protest, essentially, to me, I read it as they just don't want home sharing in the area. And we get protests like that a lot. But unfortunately, city council approved home sharing and allows home sharing, so we can't deny applications on that basis alone. Looks like city staff's giving you a copy of that, so.
I've had this issue with a long-term rental, so I absolutely understand what they're talking about there with a long-term rental, and I can assure you with short-term rentals because that's also one of the things we do is we make sure we know how many people are going to be in the property whenever we tenants whenever we actually whenever they what's the word when they
the
And
lingo.
we actually approve them to stay in the property. We know how many people, if they have animals, how many cars, find out how many cars they have, all that stuff, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm satisfied by your rules, and it sounds like you've got enough rules in place to get me comfortable with it. As long as you incorporate the ones that were in the application, I think I'm okay with it. We do get a map from city staff before each of these meetings that gives us kind of a plot of where all these proposed home sharing, well, where all the current home sharing permits are, and where the ones that are proposed, where those are in relation to the existing ones. Yours looks like it's not in a very concentrated area, so that's good, that's in your favor. The last application, there are no other home sharings around it, so that's kind of what we want to see, is that we're not getting too concentrated in a particular area. So just note that for the record. Board members, any questions, comments, or a motion?
I'd like to move that we approve case number 14979 for a special exception of, do we say the number of years?
We have not, but it's your motion. So.
3 years, since the area is not heavily populated. For a period of 3 years.
3 years?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve the special exception in case 14979 for the reason it meets the statutory conditions for a special exception for a period of 3 years. Once you're able to, cast your votes. And it's approved.
Thank y'all very much. Y'all have a good day.
See you too. Thank you.
Item 10, case 14980, special exception of Matthew Jules to allow home sharing at 2139 Northwest 15th Street.
Hi there. I am Octavia Castillo. I am the property manager for Matthew Jules. He resides in California, so he's not here, but I do manage his homes for him.
Okay.
And you can see he's got a few here today.
Yeah, there are a few, and there was one that I think.
Obviously, you can see we have similar rules on all of them. Limits on stay. We've got Ring doorbells, so we can verify how many people are staying is actually how many people are staying, as they said. So we can verify all of that information.
You are item 17 also, and there are a couple before that, so I'm going to move that application up.
Okay.
So we can consider all these
Okay.
together.
Okay. That'll work.
And then, oh no, so it's still we'll still go through with your
Oh, okay.
applications,
Okay.
but your last application will get moved up in front of the other two.
Oh, okay, I see.
You might not have even noticed, but it sort of splits your applications up, and we'll just put them all together.
Yeah.
Okay, so board members, you all can sort of propose ways to go about this if you want, but I think maybe having her present all of the applications now while you're here,
Okay.
and tell us anything that might be unique to any particular application, and anything that might be the same. So it looks like you said they all have Ring cameras and noise monitoring and things like that.
Yep.
But maybe point out anything that's unique, and then we will have to vote separately on these, but I
Okay.
think you could present them together, so.
Okay. Well, the ones on Chartel, there is a little bit of a unique situation. It was bought as a lot of 3 that are right there together. Like 36 and Chartel, all 3 of those are going to be short-term rentals, where also like if a large family gathering was coming, they could rent all 3 together and do like a shared backyard kind of situation, if maybe family reunion or something like that. That's the only one I can think of maybe that would have a specific circumstances. The only difference between any of the rest of them are just number of bedrooms and number of beds, that kind of thing. They've all been remodeled and brought up to stake, and of course, again, with this many, we have to have a good monitoring system, so we monitor them digitally like crazy, so.
Okay.
And again, I'm here physically, so if anything comes up, I can physically be there, so.
I think specific to the number of guests, it made, all of your applications made sense. The first one stood out a little bit more than the others, and that it's 3 bedrooms, and this is on 15.
Uh-huh.
It's 3 bedrooms, and it's going to be advertised as 10 guests.
Yeah,
That one seemed a little excessive.
yeah, one of the bedrooms has a double bunk bed. So like a double bunk bed up and a double bunk bed there. And then, of course, they're counting, I think, the couch in the living room and then like a small couch, because it's a huge master suite, a small couch in there.
Okay.
So, I mean, really, realistically, I mean, we're getting mostly, honestly, 2 people is the most common that stay there, a couple, but I think the most we've had stay there is 6, so it's not very common that actually happens.
Okay.
And it really would be kids.
Would you be opposed to 8?
Would we be
Advertising
opposed to 8? Not
eight,
necessarily,
yeah.
probably not. Because honestly, like I said, those 2 double beds would really not be appropriate except for 1 adult or 2 children.
Right.
So I feel like it's stretching it anyways, calling that 4 people sleeping there.
Yeah, sometimes when those numbers get up, you start getting, guys that might want to have a nice fraternity weekend and go
Yeah.
hang out in the plaza or something, and the neighbors
Sure.
wouldn't really appreciate
Sure,
that.
parties.
If we- Yeah, but if we keep those numbers down, we can hopefully deter some of that.
Okay.
One of the other just questions I had was kind of what's going on here. So we've got you representing Matthew Jules,
Yep.
but various different owners of these properties.
Some of them might be too new. They show various owners. Now, this one on 15th is the only exception to that rule. That one does have a different owner. Matt and I manage them together. He does all of the digital things online to do with that, and I'm the physical presence, repairs, that kind of thing. All the rest of them Matt does own. It's possible that maybe he bought them too recently and they're not showing on the county. Specifically, the ones on Chartel, those closed very recently within the last, gosh, it might even been this month. It was pretty recent. No, it's at the end of December. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a lot in late 2021.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is it a lot of these are LLCs, which is normal, but is it just him as the sole owner of these, or is there some? Like
His wife, him and his wife. But yeah, just the 2 of them. It's not a big corporation or anything. And actually, he's enjoyed being here and getting these houses so much, he just bought a house to move here himself. So he will
good.
not be a California investor much longer.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
A lot
He fell
easier
in
to
love
buy
with the
houses here
city.
in California.
True, yeah.
And cheaper.
Like, this is great out here.
Yeah, you can buy 5 houses for the price of 1.
Easy.
Yeah, he sold his one house and bought all these. So, sort of the elephant in the room is the home sharing locations map that I referenced earlier.
Okay,
And this is something that, I don't know if you've watched our proceedings recently, but it's something that the board has really started scrutinizing a lot more.
Okay.
As more and more of these properties get more and more concentrated in this particular area of Oklahoma City, there are a lot of problems with that. One being it's potentially contrary to what we think the city council had in mind when they approved home sharing. And my understanding of those proceedings was, I think in its purest form, what the city council probably had in mind was some of these applications we get where maybe you're in a historic district or in a plaza or something, and you've got a residence in the backyard that you can rent out on Airbnb or something. So you live in the main house, and then you've got a house in the back that
right.
You can put on Airbnb. That's sort of the purest form of what I think city council had in mind with some of these. And then the further you get away from that, I think we get further and further from what city council intended. And so when we start seeing, and one of the other things that I know was raised in city council meetings that was a major concern was destroying this sense of neighborhood that would otherwise happen in a lot of these different areas, where you would have families living there, maybe long-term rentals, things like that, using these properties. But instead of replacing those with short-term rentals, where you're not going to have that. You're going to have a block, maybe you'll have a couple of people that get locked into a house, and then a bunch of Airbnbs around them, and they just destroy the entire concept of the neighborhood.
Sure.
And so that's another thing that the city council, I think, was worried about. Another thing is, with each of these that we approve, it takes some inventory from the available rental houses for renters in Oklahoma. And it takes first-time homebuyer inventory out because people are scooping those up and turning them into Airbnbs. And so there are all these things that we're worried about when we get more and more concentrated into this part of the city. As you've probably seen even today, if you get outside of the city a little bit, and Cindy, I don't know if you have the map on your, okay. As you get outside of the city a little bit, we really don't scrutinize those much. So if you, someone throws an Airbnb by Tinker or something, it's not that big of a deal. But for obvious reasons, everyone's putting these on 23rd and 36th and that kind of area, and it's getting really concentrated. We've denied a few applications already for this density and concentration reason.
Okay.
Particularly when there are multiple properties on the same street, we have denied applications. We've had people come in and get quadplexes or octuplexes or whatever, and want to have multiple units rented out on Airbnb, and we've allowed them to maybe do one or two, but not the entire unit, because at that point it's essentially a hotel.
Right.
And so, all of that to say, I think I can certainly get on board, and I want this to be successful for a lot of these applications, but I personally don't know that I can support each one of these, particularly the ones on, I think, Eubanks over there in the Paseo kind of area, I think it was. There were like two across the street from each other. That might be the Chartel ones. Some of
Yeah,
those
that one on Chartel, like I said, they almost share a lot right there together.
Yeah.
The one on 15th specifically, I could see if that's a concentrated area, because that's Plaza right there. So I could get that, but that one is owned by just one specific owner. She doesn't own a ton or anything like that. She's not, that's her only one.
See here. Yeah. In particular, it was 11, 14, and 17 that I had an issue with. And those are just right next to each other.
What-
The one on Eubanks, then 3627 North Chartel and 3623 North Chartel. Those three are all in direct line with one another.
Yeah, those ones are all like on a block there together, like right around where you can kind of see that corner. There's one that kind of backs up to 36 and then one, and then another one right next to each other. And they were actually owned by the same person. So they had them almost kind of set up in a way where they like shared a yard and everything. And he offloaded them all as like one package deal kind of thing. So that's how that kind of came about.
Well, board members, any comments, questions? Kind of take the temperature of where everyone is.
So I share your concerns as far as those three that are directly right there together. And because the area is so heavily concentrated, it'd be hard for me to say yes to all three of those for a fact.
Okay. Okay.
I'm more or less indifferent. I'm always on that, so.
Okay. I've been outvoted before, so I'm only one voice, so who knows, but those are just my comments. Is there something with 11, 14, and 17? I mean, are there two of those that work better than,
Which ones?
you know, 11, 14, and 17?
I'm not sure which ones those are,
That's-
sorry.
Eubanks, Chartel, you know, those applications. 809,
Oh, Eubanks and the two Chartels.
yeah.
Oh, what was the question?
Are there two of those that kind of work if you had to kind of pick, you know?
Ooh.
If the board was gonna deny one, which is gonna be the least hurtful to you?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that question, and probably what I would say is go ahead and deny all three, and then we'll pick one and schedule and come back. Because like I said, those Chartel ones, there's a third one of those Chartel ones that aren't even on here today because it's big and it's going to take a
Yeah.
really long time to remodel, so that one wasn't even on here. So I would really be asking him between 4, and I
Okay.
don't want to make that decision for
Okay.
him.
The other thing we can do, just to help you out a little bit and to not have you pay an application fee, is maybe continue those 3,
Okay,
and then you can, however long you think you would need to resolve those questions, you can continue that,
okay,
maybe even until you get that 4th one done, and then you can present whatever you want to present to us at that time. Maybe 2 of those or something, but
okay,
make a presentation at that time.
okay,
And then we don't have to worry about denying your application. If we deny the application, there's also a waiting period. I don't know for sure what it is on these, but it's probably 6 months before
okay,
you can file another application.
okay.
If we continue it, you don't have to do that.
Okay, we can continue them then, that's
Okay.
fine.
And then the other ones, I mean, we've got, I'm not too offended with the other applications, especially for a shorter period of time. The only thing would be 10 and 16 are very close to each other, but 16 is not yours, so you can't really help that. But, and your application number 10 is on the other side of Penn, which doesn't have as many Airbnbs, so that's in your favor. All that to say, I think I could get behind you on all the other ones, and then maybe continue 11, 14, and 17.
Okay,
I'm okay with this one, and I'm thinking 1 or 2 years.
For what, number 10, or?
Yeah, number 10, the
Okay.
one we're on right now. I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
I agree. Yeah, and then it would come down to a period of time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I agreed with your house rules and conditions, and I trust that you'll be a fantastic manager, so I'm not worried about that at all.
Sure.
So, or you're thinking 1 year, 2 years? What are we thinking on that? 2 years? Okay,
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
okay,
Thank you, Mike.
okay.
So-
Sounds like a motion. I don't have anyone.
Nobody? Okay.
I could confirm, but I don't have anyone sign up to speak. Is there anyone else that wanted to speak on these applications? Okay,
I'll move approval of this one.
okay.
2 years, advertised, self-imposed rules, except 8 guests instead of 10.
okay.
And I guess I'm sorry, we should have probably addressed this, but what's the parking situation at
They
this?
all have various parking, they all have driveways of some form, or, like, the one on 15th has a really long driveway, someone parking in the street, I don't know what they're doing, because it could seriously fit a ton of cars, but if you prefer for us to advertise as no street parking, we can always do that.
And will that work for all of the current applications here? Okay.
Yep.
Then that makes it easier.
Yep.
So, Mr. Voorhees, you'd like to
Cool.
add that as a condition as
That's
well?
what I had.
Okay,
I'm good.
okay.
Okay,
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the special exception in case 14980 for the reason that it meets the statutory conditions for a special exception for a period of 2 years on the condition that the applicant will include the self-imposed conditions in the application. It'll be advertised as limited to no more than 8 guests. It'll be advertised as off-street parking only. Once you're able to, cast your votes. And it's approved. Okay. And then for the purposes of the record, I'll have to call each case and then we'll have to vote on each one.
okay.
All right. Item 11, case 14981, special exception of the same applicant for home sharing at 809 West Eubanks.
And this is one that I think we're continuing. So do we have a motion? Well, actually, do you know how long you'd like, what would be useful for you?
I think until the next one would be fine. That'll give them enough time to think about it.
Do we meet in 2 weeks? We do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So February 3rd. Okay. Do we have a motion? Well, why don't we group those together? 11, 14, and 17 grouped together is continued to February 3rd.
Can you go ahead and do those separately? The agenda says separate votes for each one.
We'll do those separately.
We just work our way down.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we continue case number 14981 until the February 3rd meeting.
Got a motion and a second to continue item 11 to February 3rd. Cast your votes, please. And it's continued.
Okay, item 12 is 14982, special exception, same applicant for home sharing at 3028 Northwest 47th Street.
Board members, are there any questions about this one? It's a little bit more north. Same 2 years. Okay. Do you have anyone that's hoping to speak on any of these applications, other than the applicant? Okay. I think we can take a motion.
I'll move to approve case number 14982 for the period of 2 years, with the condition of off-street parking only.
And then
And
the
what was
rules of
it?
application as well.
The rules in the application, yeah, yeah, same.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve the special exception in case 14982 for the reason that it meets statutory conditions for a special exception for a period of 2 years with the same conditions as the last application that we approved. Once you're able to, cast your votes. And it's approved.
Item 13, case 14983, special exception of the same applicant for home sharing at 4508 Northwest 34th Street.
Okay, any questions or comments, board members? We have the same conditions. Okay, do we have a motion?
I'd like to move that we approve case number 14983 with the conditions of off-street parking and all of the other conditions that are listed for a period of 2 years.
Okay, we have a second.
Mine didn't pop up to.
I was going to, oh, there it is. Paul's messing with me.
Got a motion and a second to approve the variance, or the special exception in case 14983 for the reason it meets statutory conditions for special exception for a period of 2 years with the same conditions as the last application. Cast your votes. And it's approved.
Item 14 is 14984, application for special exception, same applicant for home sharing at 3623 North Chartel Avenue.
Okay, and do we have a motion to continue this to February 3rd?
Sure. Motion to continue case 14984 to February 3rd.
A second.
Got a motion and a second to continue item 14 requested February 3rd. Cast your votes. And it's approved. And then we're moving up item 17.
Item 17, case 14990, request of the same applicant for home sharing at 3627 North Chartel.
We have a motion to continue this item.
Sure. Motion to continue case number 14990 to February 3rd.
A second.
Got a motion and a second to continue item 17 to February 3rd. Cast your votes, please. And it's continued. Okay, I guess we'll see you at our next meeting.
Quick question, is this public information? Can I find this somewhere?
It's presented in our board packets, and
Okay.
so it's publicly available, but I don't know that it's certainly not sent out with the notices or anything.
Okay, I was just kind of curious if I could look and see how closely, you know, I mean, just looking, making
Keep
sure
that
he
one.
doesn't do something like this again.
No, Cindy, she can keep that one, correct, Cindy? Okay, so yeah, that one's yours.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you.
Okay, item 15 is 14986, special exception of Jessica and Joshua Foote to allow home sharing at 1029 Peddler's Lane.
I am not the applicant, I'm on behalf. Do I need to give this to someone? Okay. My name's Amanda King. I own King's Green Cleaning at 511 Couch Drive, Suite 200, Oklahoma City 73102. And Mr. and Mrs. Foote could not make it because of something with flights and 5G. So I'm here to speak on their behalf.
I've heard a lot of those getting canceled, so.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was a real thing, but I guess it is.
I don't know that it impacts humans, but apparently it does impact planes. So,
Yeah.
See. So if you know, I mean, we've got the application here, and I appreciate you attending on their behalf. But if you know, if you could give us just a brief overview.
Yeah, so they have purchased this property over in Wheeler, and they have it set up to be an Airbnb. They have sent, she said that she sent her rules, she just emailed her rules over. They do their parking situation, they have a carport that is reserved for their parking. Oh, good, she sent it. And then there's also a parking lot at the front of Wheeler that they could park at. She does have on here street parking as well. But that's all I know from her rules. The occupancy that she has on it currently is 8. It's a smaller place. I think that there's a king bed, and then upstairs there's a queen, a twin, and then a trundle, and then a pull-out sofa.
Right.
But I think she does have in her rules no loud noises, kind of, you know, what to expect. We're also here on site. We clean a lot of Airbnbs. We make sure and notify of any damages or anything like that. We clean a couple in Wheeler already. So we are available if they need anything as well.
Okay.
I have a feeling we'll start getting a lot of these in Wheeler District,
Oh,
just
yeah.
the way it's designed.
Yeah, and there might be some that are grandfathered in, but according to our map, I don't see any other in Wheeler, so that's helpful. And I think, you know, Wheeler probably needs a couple of these. Makes sense to have a couple of them there, but we certainly don't want a whole strip of Airbnbs out there in Wheeler. So,
Yeah.
Okay. I think 2 years, board member seems okay to me in this area. I don't know if you have any other questions or comments, board members, but. Okay. Is there anyone that was hoping to speak on this application, other than the applicant? Okay. Hearing none, questions, comments, or a motion?
I'll move approval 2 years. And I would appreciate advertising the self-imposed house rules. I didn't get them in my packet, but
I didn't either.
I think she just sent it. I sent her an email and asked her to make sure that that was readily available for you all. As I heard you all ask questions previously, I said, you probably should send this. This is a nicer home. We do a lot of Airbnbs. This one will get higher end clients. It's going to be charged at a higher price. So I will ensure that. I will also ensure that because we are going to be the ones taking care of it. So I don't want that either.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second to approve the special exception in case 14989 for a period of 2 years on the condition that it includes the self-imposed conditions that were sent to city staff today. 14986. Okay, I don't know, I might have said something else, but yeah, 14986. Cast your votes, please. And it's approved.
Perfect, thank you. And just to be clear on parking, is it okay for them to leave in that people can park on the street, or do they need to take that out?
So we didn't put any conditions on there.
Okay.
a lot of the older neighborhoods that have just skinnier streets, we make sure to include that, but this one, I'm not familiar with any problems with street parking, and frankly, I think it's probably designed to have some street
It's
parking.
kind of the thing. I live in Heritage Hills. I appreciate you guys
Right.
not doing the street parking. But yeah, that's kind of their whole
Yeah.
spiel. So.
Yeah, zero lot lines and, park on the street type of thing.
So I purposely sort of just skated past that issue, but,
Okay.
and if it becomes an issue when this gets renewed or something, we can talk about it at that point, but.
And 2 years, and they're good for street. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you
then
guys
it'll
so
be,
much.
it'll be advertised with whatever conditions were sent to city staff today. So
Okay.
those need to be, those need to remain in the advertisements. So,
Sure,
okay.
definitely.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all. Have a wonderful day.
You too, thank you.
Okay, that takes us to item 16, 14987, special exception of Pivotal Real Estate Solutions to allow home sharing at 1608 North Penn.
Good afternoon. My name is Julia Swiggett with Pivotal Real Estate Solutions, and we are applying for a home sharing application today. It's located on Penn. It has 4 bedrooms, accommodating for 4 guests, and that's a picture of parking, and I have an updated parking as well for that front with the circle drive, if updated picture on that. I didn't know if you needed that with the parking.
Yeah, that'd be helpful, I think, if you just wanted to, yeah. So, how many cars will that accommodate?
Could accommodate 4
Okay.
cars.
So you'll be advertising it as off-street?
No, off-street parking, because it's right on Penn. That's the busy street.
Oh, yeah, see.
There's just
No,
no
Good
street
luck.
parking allowed. We started this property, we renovate homes to better the neighborhoods, and as we started doing this property and COVID hit, we realized there was a need for Airbnb. We used, and we enjoyed going on vacations for Airbnbs, so we decided that this might be a potential great opportunity for that, being in the plaza, and a staycation for us as well. So it's completely renovated, new pipes, new everything, so it is a very lovely, nice new home that I would stay in myself.
So have you all done, this is not necessarily relevant to your application, but have you all done kind of the market research? Is there just that much of a need for Airbnbs in Oklahoma City?
Just that we go and visit lots of other cities, and we look to stay through Airbnbs instead of staying at a hotel, but since
Yeah.
we traveled with the 4 of us. And we've also taken like RVs as well, and that made us feel safer when we go and we do our adventures around different cities. I know just talking with our neighborhoods, families, they do a lot of Airbnbs with their families when they go stay with their grandparents, and so they do lots of staycations. They go to Enid and they'll stay in a property with their mother-in-laws and their cousins, and they're able to stay there and be able to be there safely instead of staying in a hotel in separate rooms.
Okay, yeah, I don't even know if this is available, but I'd just be curious if, like, what the need is in Oklahoma City for home sharing, and if on a given week, 90%
Not
of-
necessarily.
Like 90% of the inventory is taken up or something. I just don't know those stats, so I was curious if you had researched that or something, but.
It has grown, and market research has shown that during COVID, it has grown, that people would rather stay in an Airbnb or VRBO
Yeah.
instead of a hotel.
Yeah.
That's where we always stay when we travel to other countries as well as in the United States.
Okay. There's a a protest letter, I don't know if you had a chance to review that, but did you want to make any comments on that?
I'm not aware of the protest letter.
Okay, there's one that just says they're in opposition. Their main concern is the home values on the surrounding properties. And that's the only concern, so I don't know if, you don't have to address it, but I like to give people an opportunity to.
I don't think that it would
I can go
decrease
up.
the home value. This is a completely brand-new property built on, I mean, we gutted it completely out. So if we were to sell it at this point, it would still be valued to this community.
I don't have anyone signed up. Is anyone hoping to speak on this application other than the applicant? Okay. And I, at least when home sharing first kind of started getting popular, it sort of had the opposite effect of what a lot of people thought. It actually inflated home values in the area.
Okay.
Because maybe it was a desirable home because of, you have this commercial operation or whatever it was, but you've got folks going in there and renovating properties and increasing the home value for that reason, and then also now you have this revenue generator, and it can actually increase the home values. And in some cities that has sort of a really negative effect on the increased home values, because then it pushes people out of being able to afford to live in those cities anymore. Oklahoma City, I don't know that we have that yet, but it sort of has, it sort of increases the home value so much that that becomes a problem, and not necessarily decreasing home values like some folks are concerned about. So,
Okay.
board members, any questions or comments? Okay. I think we're ready for a motion.
Two years, maybe?
I could do one or two, just because it is in that kind of prime area.
I'll move approval, 2 years, condition that advertised with the self-imposed rules that were in the application.
Got a motion and a second to approve the special exception in case 14987 for the reason it meets the statutory conditions for a special exception for a period of 2 years on the condition that the self-imposed conditions of the application will remain going forward. Once you're able to, cast your votes. And it's approved. All right.
Thank you so
good
much.
luck. Okay, all the other items were continued. Takes us to additional items, seeing none on the agenda. Communications and board reports, seeing none. Citizens to be heard. Seeing none. Any other business from board members or city? Okay, we are adjourned.